just going to put this on with my 3-inch. And I could use a 6-inch or a 4-inch if I had it. If I had a 4-inch, I'd probably use a 4-inch. I still want to be careful when I put it on so I don't spooge it and have it fall off the side. You know, so I kind of wipe the edges off as I go on my pan. And I'm just going to put just enough to cover up the tape. I mean, I could use a 6-inch knife up here, but it's such a small patch, I might as well just do it this way. And this will give you a good idea of how to use your knife. It's basically the same when you put the 6-inch up, except you're going to make the patch bigger. You know, I'm just wanting to show you that yes, something this small, you can use your 3-inch knife or a 4. I'm using quickset. The reason why I'm using quickset is because I want it to dry quick. That's why you call it quickset. The store, they don't say, it doesn't say quickset. It's just a fast drying compound, and it comes in a dry mix, and you have to mix it up with water. And I've got all those videos on my channel if you want to check that out. Just try to stay out from exactly underneath it so that you don't get it coming down on your face or something. But you'll get the hang of it. That's all I'm going to do with the first coat. I'm just going to kind of make it flat, and you'll see how much to put on. You want to try to cover as much of the tape as you can. If you see the tape peeking out over the edge, you know, that's okay. Wanting to keep the edges kind of smoothed down, and you'll note that when you do that, you might have an indentation on the inside where you think, oh man, how much more mud do I need to put on there? But that's all I'm going to do on the first coat. The second coat, I'm going to use my 6-inch knife, and I'm going to go out further. Okay, after that, I'll probably end up filling in the rest of the square patch. When you ever have a square patch, the key is, on a square patch like this, ultimately you want to fill in all of the other area too. Okay, and we'll kind of blend it down into the existing, the new light fixture. Okay, if you didn't have a new light fixture, if you just had a patch like that in your wall, you don't want to just patch it like this and like that, because then the inside is going to be low, and you're going to see that when you get all done. Your patch, your ultimate patch, is going to be probably out this wide, okay, way out there, so you can blend it all in. You want to trick the eye, so then you're going to float in that small patch because it's a square like that. You see what I mean? There's a tip for you, because some people don't do that. They just try to do the seam, and then they think, oh, I'll get the seam just fine. You know, they do that, and then they get ready to paint, and they see that big old huge goober in the middle of their ceiling, wondering, why is it like that? Okay, so here was my tape here. I'm just going to go over it with my little knife, and you know, I've got a little bit around here I can just put in without using my knife, or without using the self-adhesive webbing tape. I could have put a little piece in there, but I'm going to do it like this. Just grab just a little. And once that dries, I'll go over that again. Here I've got a little hole right there. I could have put a piece of webbing tape. It's a small enough hole that I can do that. I've got some screw holes there. Because I've got my construction light on, I can see exactly where the screw holes were to hold up these fluorescent light fixtures. And I'm going to look down each one of those lines and get anything that I think needs to be hit. When you do little screw holes sometimes, you put the mud on and sometimes some of it wants to come off. So you may have to do it in a couple different directions. Okay. I'm not even going to shut the camera off. I want you to see that it's not that difficult to do these things. Okay. And with the webbing tape, because you know that hole seemed pretty big, didn't it? But with the webbing tape, you just take the mud, and as you depress it and press it in there, it goes up through those holes. Okay, you want to do that, just a couple times over a hole like that. When that dries, we're going to put a little bit more on there, and it's almost going to be like a flat metal shield once it dries. This stuff dries stout. You know, that's why I'm gonna put a couple more coats over that, and I can do that because this is non-shrinking and it's gonna dry really super quick. That way I can get all my patches done in one day. That's the trick. And now you know.